January 3rd, 2026, America captured the president of Venezuela, flew him to New York in handcuffs, 30 minutes. That is all it took. But here's what nobody is talking about. China just lost $60 billion. Russia lost their strongest ally in South America, and the entire world order just shifted. Today we break down the winners and losers after America captured Maduro. This is not just about Venezuela. This is about how global power is shifting right in front of our eyes. Quick note, this info comes from multiple sources. If something is wrong, drop a comment. We make economics so simple that anyone with zero knowledge can understand. Let me set the stage first. At 2 a.m. on January 3rd, American forces launched a massive military operation, over 150 aircraft, Delta Force soldiers, helicopters landing in the middle of Caracas. By sunrise, President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were on an American aircraft carrier heading to New York. Trump announced that America will run Venezuela until a safe transition happens. His exact words, "We are going to run it." Now, the entire world is watching. Some countries are celebrating, some are furious, some are terrified. Let me break down the 5 biggest winners and losers from this historic event. First, China, the biggest loser. If there is one country that lost the most from this operation, it is China, and it is not even close. Starting in 2007, China lent Venezuela over $60 billion. That is more money than China lent to any other country on earth. They bet big on Venezuela. The deal was simple. Venezuela gets cash, China gets oil. Every month, Venezuelan tankers would ship crude oil to Chinese refineries. That oil counted as debt repayment. By 2025, about 80% of Venezuelan oil was going to China. Not because Venezuela wanted to, because they had to. Debt obligations. China built this relationship for one strategic reason: energy security. They wanted oil from somewhere other than the Middle East, somewhere outside American influence. Look at a map. The Middle East is surrounded by American military bases. American aircraft carriers patrol those waters. If conflict ever breaks out, America could choke Chinese oil supply overnight. Venezuela was the backup plan, far from the Middle East, close to Chinese shipping routes through the Panama Canal, a reliable source that America could not touch. Or so they thought. Now, America controls Venezuela. $60 billion in loans may never get repaid. 80% of that oil flow is at risk, and China can do absolutely nothing about it. Venezuela is 800 miles from Florida, 8,000 miles from Beijing. Geography wins. China has no military assets anywhere close. Their Belt and Road Initiative just lost its biggest investment in Latin America. That is a massive strategic defeat. Beijing released a furious statement. They said they strongly condemn the US blatant use of force against a sovereign state. They demanded America release Maduro immediately. They called it hegemonic behavior. But demands mean nothing without leverage. And China has no leverage here. This is America's backyard, not theirs. Second, Russia lost an ally. Russia has been backing Maduro for years, not just with words, with weapons, with money, with military advisors. Since 2005, Russia sold over $12 billion in weapons to Venezuela, fighter jets, tanks, missiles, air defense systems. They armed Maduro to the teeth. Russian military advisors were stationed in Venezuela, training soldiers, maintaining equipment. Some reports say Russian private military contractors were there too. Why did Russia care so much about a country on the other side of the world? Simple. Venezuela was a middle finger to America, a Russian ally right in America's backyard. Just like America has NATO bases surrounding Russia, Russia wanted a foothold near America. They also wanted the oil contracts. Russian companies like Rosneft had joint ventures with Venezuelan state oil company PDVSA, billions of dollars invested. Now all of that is at risk. Maduro is gone. The new situation is completely controlled by Washington. Russian advisors will likely have to leave. Russian oil contracts are worthless without a friendly government. $12 billion in weapons, billions more in oil investments, years of diplomatic effort, all gone in 30 minutes. Putin is watching carefully. Because this sends a message. America is willing to use military force to remove governments it does not like, even without international approval, even without a clear legal basis. Moscow issued a statement calling it an armed aggression against Venezuela. Strong words. But just like China, there is nothing Russia can actually do. Venezuela is too far away. America is too strong in that region. Third, Latin America, completely divided. The reaction across Latin America tells you everything about the political divide in the region. On one side, you have the leftist governments, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Cuba. They are furious. Brazilian President Lula called it a violation of sovereignty. Colombian President Petro said alert the world Venezuela is under attack. Mexican President condemned the military intervention. Cuba called it criminal aggression. These countries see a dangerous precedent. If America can just capture the president of Venezuela today, who is next? Could this happen to them? On the other side, you have the right-wing governments, Argentina, El Salvador. They are celebrating. Argentine President Milei praised the operation. He called Maduro a dictator who deserved what he got. El Salvador. President expressed support. Then you have the Venezuelan people themselves. 8 million of them fled the country over the past decade. Many are living in Colombia, Chile, Peru, United States. In Miami, neighborhoods like Doral, thousands of Venezuelan immigrants flooded the streets celebrating, dancing, singing, crying, tears of joy. They see this as liberation from a dictator who destroyed their country. Inside Venezuela, the reaction is mixed. Some celebrated from their balconies, too scared to go outside. Others protested, demanding Maduro release. The country is split, just like the region. Latin America has not been this divided in decades. And the economic implications are huge. Trade relationships, oil contracts, investment flows, everything is being recalculated. Fourth, Europe, caught in the middle. European leaders are in an awkward position. They do not like Maduro. Most European countries refuse to recognize his election victory. They called it fraud. But they also do not like what America just did. Capturing a foreign leader with military force sets a precedent that makes Europeans very uncomfortable. British Prime Minister said he wants to establish the facts and speak with Trump. He emphasized that Britain was not involved in any way, and that everyone should uphold international law. That last part is key, international law. What America did is unprecedented in modern history. Yes, America has removed foreign leaders before, but usually through coups, proxy forces, economic pressure, not a direct military capture and extraction. European leaders are worried about the precedent. If the rules-based international order means nothing, then what stops other countries from doing the same thing? What if China decides to capture the president of Taiwan? What if Russia decides to grab a Baltic leader? The answer used to be international law prohibits that. Now the answer is less clear. For European businesses, there is also economic uncertainty. Many European companies have investments in Latin America. Some had dealings with Venezuela. They are now scrambling to figure out what this means. Why? The European Union has not issued a unified response yet. They are still debating, which tells you how complicated this situation is. Fifth, global oil market, surprisingly calm. Here is something that surprised many analysts. Oil prices barely moved. You would think capturing the president of a country with the largest oil reserves on Earth would send prices skyrocketing. It did not. Why? A few reasons. First, Venezuela only produces about 900,000 barrels per day. That is less than 1% of global supply. The market can absorb that disruption easily. Second, the oil market was already oversupplied going into 2026. OPEC Plus had been struggling to keep prices up. There is plenty of crude available from other sources. Third, and most importantly, traders are looking at the long-term picture. If America stabilizes Venezuela and foreign investment returns in, production could increase dramatically. We are talking 2 to 3 million barrels per day potential. More supply in the future means lower prices. So the market is actually pricing in a bearish long-term scenario. For oil importing countries, this is potentially good news. Lower prices mean lower inflation, cheaper transportation, more money in consumers' pockets. For oil exporting countries like Saudi Arabia and Russia, this is concerning. More Venezuelan oil on the market means more competition, harder to maintain high prices. OPEC is watching very carefully. They may need to cut production further to balance the market if Venezuelan output recovers. So who won and who lost? Let me summarize. Biggest loser, China, $60 billion at risk. Strategic energy plan destroyed. Zero ability to respond. Second biggest loser, Russia, lost their foothold in the Western Hemisphere. $12 billion in weapons sales wasted. Oil investments worthless. Divided Latin America, left-wing governments terrified. Right-wing governments celebrating. Regional cooperation fractured. Uncomfortable, Europe, do not like Maduro, do not like the precedent, stuck in the middle trying to figure out what international law even means anymore. Biggest winner, America. Gained control of 303 billion barrels of oil, eliminated Chinese and Russian influence in the region, sent a message to the world about American power. Potential winner, global consumers. If Venezuelan oil production recovers, prices could drop significantly in the coming years. So here's the big question everyone should be asking. What does this mean for the future of international relations? For 70 years, the world operated on a set of rules. Sovereignty matters. You do not just invade countries and capture their leaders, even if you do not like them. America just showed those rules can be broken by the country that largely created them. Other nations are taking notes. China is watching. Russia is watching. Iran is watching. Every country with something America wants is now recalculating their security strategy. Some say this makes the world safer. America is the good guy. Maduro was a dictator. Justice was served. Others say this makes the world more dangerous. If rules do not apply to America, why should they apply to anyone else? One thing is certain, January 3rd to 2026 will be remembered as the day the world changed. The economic ripples will be felt for decades. Winners and losers have been decided. China lost 60 billion. Russia lost an ally. America gained an oil empire. And every other nation is now wondering where they stand in this new world order. The question is whether those ripples bring prosperity or chaos. Only time will tell. Do not forget to subscribe so you do not miss any videos.